Hello Army! Welcome back to Zone Taekook channel. Have you ever watched a moment so quickly that almost everyone missed what really happened? During the interview with GQ magazine, something unexpected unfolded between Kim Taehyung and Jungkook. A moment so brief that most Army didn't notice it the first time. In the middle of the conversation, while everyone else was laughing and talking, Taehyung suddenly turned his head and locked his eyes onto Jungkook. Not a casual glance, not a passing look. It was a sharp, intense stare that lasted only seconds, but somehow carried a weight that fans are still trying to understand. Why did Taehyung look at Jungkook like that? What exactly happened in that split second that made Army rewind the video again and again? Because once you notice that stare, you realize this moment might not be as simple as it first seemed. The moment passes quickly in the video, almost too quickly. The room is relaxed. Laughter moves around the set as the members continue answering questions for GQ magazine. Everyone appears comfortable, casual, natural in front of the camera. But then something shifts. While the conversation continues, Kim Taehyung suddenly turns his head slightly. His expression changes in a way that is difficult to explain. The playful atmosphere around him doesn't disappear, but for a brief moment, his attention is no longer on the group. It locks onto one person, Jungkook. First glance, it seems like nothing. Just another glance between members who have spent years together. But when fans began replaying the clip, slowing it down frame by frame, the atmosphere inside that moment started to feel different. Taehyung's gaze isn't casual. It's steady, focused, almost sharp, the kind of look that feels loaded with something unspoken. And what makes the moment even stranger is that Jungkook seems to sense it. His expression shifts slightly, as if he notices the attention directed toward him. For a split second, the energy between them becomes strangely intense, subtle enough to miss, but strong enough to make people question it once they see it. The rest of the room keeps moving. Voices continue. Someone laughs. But the camera captures that silent exchange like a quiet storm passing through a calm sky. That's when the internet started asking questions. Why did Taehyung suddenly look at Jungkook like that? Some fans believe it was simply a natural reaction. Two close friends sharing a quiet moment in the middle of a chaotic interview. Others are convinced it was something deeper, something emotional, something that hinted at an inside joke, an unspoken thought, or a reaction to something that had just happened off camera. But the most intriguing part isn't the stare itself. It's what happens immediately after. Taehyung breaks the gaze and leans back as if nothing happened. His expression shifts again, returning to the relaxed energy of the group. Jungkook continues speaking, smiling, interacting normally with the others. On the surface, everything goes back to normal. Yet the moment lingers. Because once viewers notice it, they realize something strange about that exchange. Neither of them acknowledges it, no comment, no reaction, just silence. And that silence is exactly what fuels the curiosity. Clips of the moment begin circulating among fans. Slowed versions appear online. People zoom in on facial expressions, trying to decode every micro-reaction. Some claim Taehyung looks surprised. Others insist the look carried a hint of emotion, something intense but carefully controlled. A few even argue that the entire moment felt like a reaction to something that had been said just seconds earlier. But the truth is, no one knows for sure. And that's what makes the moment so fascinating. Because when you remove the music, the editing, and the fast pacing of the interview, what remains is a raw fragment of interaction, one that feels almost too real for a polished magazine video. Suddenly, that 3-second stare begins to feel heavier than it should. The room in the video stays bright and casual, but the tension fans imagine inside that moment grows stronger every time someone watches it again. Was it curiosity? Was it concern? Was it simply a fleeting thought that crossed Taehyung's mind while Jungkook was speaking? Or was it something far more personal? Something that only the two of them understood in that exact second? The camera never gives a clear answer. And maybe that's the most intriguing part of all. Because hidden within a cheerful interview meant to showcase friendship and fun, there exists a tiny moment of silence that no one can fully explain. A single glance, a brief pause, and a question that continues to follow the clip everywhere it appears. What exactly was happening between Taehyung and Jungkook in that moment? And if that stare truly meant nothing, then why do so many people feel that it meant everything? The more people watch the clip, the stranger that moment begins to feel, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so quiet. Inside the bright, polished set of the GQ magazine interview, everything seemed lighthearted. The members joked, teased each other, and answered questions effortlessly, like a group that has spent years understanding one another without needing to explain anything. Yet hidden between those relaxed seconds was that brief shift. A shift that started with Kim Taehyung. When fans replayed the footage again and again, they began noticing something subtle about his expression even before the stare happened. For a fraction of a second, Taehyung's smile fades. Not dramatically, not enough for casual viewers to catch, but just enough to suggest that his attention had suddenly moved somewhere else. Toward Jungkook. It wasn't a playful look like the kind they often exchange during interviews. It didn't carry the usual teasing energy fans are familiar with. Instead, it felt almost analytical, like Taehyung was silently processing something, watching, thinking, trying to read something in Jungkook's expression. And the strange part is, Jungkook at that moment appears completely unaware at first. He continues speaking, gesturing lightly with his hand as he responds to the question being asked. His tone is casual, confident, relaxed. But then something happens. Jungkook pauses just briefly. His eyes flicker to the side toward Taehyung for a split second. The two of them are connected by the same invisible thread of attention. No words, no laughter, just eye contact. Then it disappears. Taehyung looks away first. The atmosphere resets instantly. Someone in the group says something funny, and a burst of laughter fills the room again, washing over the silence that had formed between them. But for those who noticed it, the energy of that moment refuses to fade. Because the more people analyze it, the more complicated it begins to look. Some viewers believe Taehyung's stare carried curiosity, like he had just realized something about Jungkook in that moment. Others think it looked protective, almost as if he was checking Jungkook's reaction to the conversation happening around them. And then there are those who see something deeper, something emotional. They point out the way Taehyung's expression softens slightly right before he breaks eye contact. The tension in his gaze seems to loosen, replaced by something quieter, more thoughtful. But even that interpretation raises another question. If the look meant nothing, why did Taehyung seem to hesitate before looking away? And why did Jungkook's expression change immediately after noticing it? That tiny reaction is what pushed fans even further into speculation. Because after the eye contact breaks, Jungkook briefly presses his lips together before continuing the conversation. It's a small detail, almost invisible unless someone is paying very close attention. But once it's noticed, it becomes impossible to ignore. It looks like someone who just processed something unexpected. Not shocking, not dramatic, just unexpected. Meanwhile, Taehyung leans back slightly in his chair, returning to the relaxed posture he had earlier. He smiles again, blending back into the group's lively rhythm as if the moment never existed. But cameras have a strange way of preserving the things people don't intend to show. And that single preserved moment begins to feel heavier every time someone replays it. Soon discussions start spreading across fan communities. Some viewers compare the clip with other interviews, searching for similar moments between the two. Others analyze body language, examining how often Taehyung glances toward Jungkook during group conversations. Patterns begin to appear, or at least fans believe they do. And the deeper people look, the more mysterious that stare becomes. Because it doesn't look staged. It doesn't feel like part of the interview. If anything, it feels like a completely unscripted reaction that slipped through the polished editing of the video. A moment that wasn't meant to become the center of attention, but it did. And the biggest mystery isn't just the intensity of the stare. It's the timing, the exact moment it happened. Because just seconds before Taehyung turned his head toward Jungkook, something was said in the conversation that many viewers initially ignored. A simple line, something that seemed harmless when the video first aired. Yet after fans began revisiting the clip, some realized that Taehyung's sudden shift of attention happened immediately after that line was spoken, almost as if the words had triggered something. And if that's true, then the real question may not be about the stare itself. The real question might be this: what exactly did Jungkook say in that moment that made Taehyung look at him like that? The moment before the stare suddenly becomes far more important than anyone first realized. When viewers return to the GQ magazine interview and slow everything down, the sequence reveals something subtle, but impossible to ignore. Right before Kim Taehyung turns his head, Jungkook is speaking. Not loudly, not dramatically, just answering a question the way he always does. Calm, thoughtful, and slightly playful. The conversation flows naturally between the members, filled with laughter and light teasing. Nothing in Jungkook's tone sounds unusual. Nothing in his words suggests tension or seriousness. Yet the timing of Taehyung's reaction begins to feel almost too precise. The second Jungkook finishes his sentence, Taehyung's attention shifts, not toward the interviewer, not toward the other members, but directly toward Jungkook. The camera captures it quietly, almost cinematically. Taehyung's head tilts slightly as his eyes settle on Jungkook's face, holding there just a little longer than a casual glance should. That's the detail fans can't stop talking about. Because Taehyung doesn't blink right away. He simply watches. And when someone watches another person like that in a room full of people, it rarely feels accidental. So what exactly was he looking for? Some fans believe Taehyung was reacting to the meaning behind Jungkook's words. Not the sentence itself, but the emotion inside it. Others think he might have noticed something subtle in Jungkook's expression, something the camera barely captured. A hesitation, a flicker of uncertainty, or maybe even a quiet joke that only the two of them understood. But the deeper people analyze the footage, the more mysterious the moment becomes. Because when Jungkook finally senses Taehyung's gaze and turns slightly toward him, the atmosphere shifts again. For a brief instant, the conversation in the room seems to fade into the background. Their eye contact holds just long enough to feel intentional. And then, Taehyung looks away. That single decision raises another wave of questions. Why look so intensely only to look away so quickly? Some viewers argue that Taehyung might have realized the camera could capture the moment and chose to move on. Others believe the opposite, that he looked away because Jungkook's reaction told him everything he needed to know. And Jungkook's reaction is exactly where things become even more complicated. After the eye contact ends, Jungkook's posture shifts almost imperceptibly. His shoulders straighten slightly, and he lets out a small breath before continuing to speak with the others. To most viewers, it looks completely normal. But for those who notice the stare, it feels like a response. Not dramatic, not obvious, just enough to suggest that he felt the weight of that gaze. The interview continues without interruption. The members laugh again, exchanging playful comments the way they always do. Yet that quiet moment refuses to disappear. Because once people notice it, they begin searching the entire video for more hidden interactions between the two. And that's when another detail quietly emerges. Throughout the rest of the interview, Taehyung occasionally glances in Jungkook's direction again. Not long enough to feel obvious, but just long enough for attentive viewers to catch. Not intense like the first stare. More thoughtful. Almost as if something from earlier in the conversation was still lingering in his mind. Meanwhile, Jungkook continues acting the same. Relaxed, smiling, occasionally laughing at the members' jokes. Nothing about his behavior suggests discomfort. Yet fans begin noticing something subtle. Whenever Taehyung looks his way again, Jungkook rarely looks back immediately. Sometimes he keeps talking. Sometimes he turns toward another member. Sometimes he simply smiles without turning his head at all. Is that coincidence? Or is it something more? No one can say for sure. But one thing becomes clear as the clip spreads across fan communities. That moment doesn't feel random anymore. It feels like a fragment of a conversation that happened without words. Two people noticing something at the same time, understanding something without needing to explain it. And that possibility is exactly what keeps viewers replaying the clip again and again.